Hi folks, Don here with Engine Joe, my 1959 F100. Completely different from the old incandescent. Wow, that looks nice. I should leave that in the video. Today I'm going to be doing some fender removal. Here, some of that rust, some of those rust holes are on the front side and I've got to do some welding. The only way to get to it is to get these fenders out of the way. I have to do it both on the right and left sides. Looking at the shop manual, is there really over 20, maybe 25 bolts I've got to pull off of there? It might be fun. Never done it before, let's give it a try. Obvious bolts are here. Top of the fender, and then this one here at the bottom of the fender, and then up in here you can see those bolts, but then here cowling, front skirt. Oh, and there's two bolts here inside the door, these access panels. There's one. And then here's the other. Inside the cab, it looks like the best access for that top nut is from the access panel here, with an extension and a U-joint on the end. 1/2-inch SAE. See if we can get that out. Yeah, it looks like it's finger tight now. Yeah, no problem getting that out at all. Well, I thought that I was going to have to use an open-end wrench because it's such a tight opening here from top to bottom. But I found if I put a U-joint on the tip there, that with a little extension, and then I rotated it back to get a click, and then up, I could get a full 1/8 of a turn or so out of it. So at least I can stay on the nut and then just keep rotating it until it comes off finger tight. I'll do that. Okay, those are out. And it looks like I'm gonna have to take a wire wheel or a wire brush to them just to be able to get to some clean bolts and nuts, and then be able to take them off. Dust mask and a wire wheel brush, and we'll go ahead and start removing some of that gunk off of the nuts and bolts. That's looking better already. Next, the grill has to come out because there are bolts here. And, well, on this corner here, holding the fender in, behind the grill. I've removed the eyebrows, both of those are out. And I'll get these little screws out and see what comes next. Okay, 6 screws and the headlights pop out. Bolts are removed, let's get this fender off. Woo! Here's the bolt pattern. You can see here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up here, these don't need to be removed unless you're doing the inner fender as well. 1, 2, 3. This one was hard to get to. And of course, these here. 1, 2, 3. Right here, 4. That bracket needed to come off. It came off. Okay, up on the cab, 1, too, and then mine just broke off here. There's that little bolt right there. Came right off of the old Fender. Looks like I'm going to have to do something with welding that back on. But of course, this is the reason I wanted the Fender off, was to get to this mess. I need to go ahead and weld in a new plate here, and then here, and you can see where I've already started on the other side. All right, the Fender inside out. Let's see, starting at the back, this is where my bolt came off, the one that actually attaches to the Fender. You can see an old repair here. Looks like you just placed a plate on the inside edge. I'm going to have to clean that up. Okay, old Fender weather strip, sound deadener, and from the outside edge. Okay, last spring I wanted to try welding for the first time and decided to start on the rusty front cab brace and cab floor right above it. Didn't record because I thought, you know, failure was a possibility. So sure enough, my gaps were too wide, set the welder for too much voltage, and blew out half the seams. So yeah, epic fail. Look at this. That's my first weld, and I had to cut it out. Look at that garbage. Oh my goodness. Well, okay, I'll start over. Live and learn. I do not know how to weld, and it shows. Ugh. Fortunately for me, welding is very forgiving, so I knew I could and did cut that crap out. So I dialed in the welder settings, overlapped the edges this time, and got a nice solid quality second effort. While I was working on the cab floor, it seemed like a good idea to clean and paint the kick panel and vent. Really cleaned up the look on that corner of the cab. Well, anyways, once my dumb butt figured out some basic welding technique, the rest of the repair was easy, and that part of the cab interior turned out really nice, too. Previously, I had taken off the front fender so that I could get to the cab corner. It's rusty, and I need to do some welding and some patching. Here, take a look. Inside the cab, I've got a big old hole. And the other side, cab corner. Now you can see the damage. So I'll be doing some removal there, some patching. I've already worked on one piece. Get it in there. Trying to fit something like that, and then do some welding. Should be fun. Let's get to it. Couldn't quite reach in with the grinder, with the cutting edge, to get down in that last corner without touching the door, and I'm not going to take the door off. So there we go. I got to clean it up a little bit, but that looks pretty good. Now here also I'm going to use the my new Eastwood Perfect Panel Prep tool. It's supposed to put a nice little 45-degree bevel edge along this edge and this edge, allowing a deeper weld and a better penetration, and it's supposed to minimize warpage. So I'm giving it a try. Now this isn't an outside panel, so it's a good time to kind of test it and see how this little bevel that it puts on the edge works for welding. So when you MIG weld or spot weld on there, it actually has a little bit of a curve to it, allowing the weld to penetrate better, and also be a more even weld, one where you don't have a high surface on it. And you can see that beveled edge right there, even on this curved piece, and that should work pretty good. That looks nice. Looks like I've got a couple of adjustments to make. Maybe I'll tap out a little here, tap in a little there, and we've got the beginning of a patch. Yes. Sloppy welds with these flux core welders. I've got a Zenny 130 MIG. Nice little welder with 4 settings on it. I'm actually not that good at welding either, as you can see, so time for some grinding. It's nice and solid. I'll just go ahead and smooth it down. This is the patch that's going to go in just below the lower hinge on the passenger side step. So let's give it a shot. Okay, I started grinding using a Dremel tool. It looks pretty good. It's a start. Man, those edges are shiny. I'll have to do some more detail on it, but it's getting there. Okay, next is the bottom plate. I've already got some holes drilled here for some rivet welds. Same thing here on the plate that I've created. I'm going to do some butt welds here against this edge, and then a seam weld here against this edge, and then these rivet welds here and then up underneath here. Nice tight fit. That's going to work pretty good. Now to form the steel, I've been using 18 gauge mild steel, and you can see here I've been using various tools to curve it and put edges on it, like here. Just kind of turn this guy over and shaping it until I get it to the point where it's about the shape of the original. Okay, much closer now. I think I'm about ready to go ahead and clean it up and throw on some tack welds. Well, I told you I was not a welder, but the welds are solid. I would go along and I would go, oh, over here I had missed a spot, and here I had missed a spot from before, and I would catch those too. A little ADD going on. But, oh, that's ugly. But, okay, now it's time to grind. But, you know, it's solid. You know, it's all there. There's no holes. Looks pretty good. I did a couple of rivet welds under here, and then I went ahead and welded the seam, and oh my goodness, that's ugly. Time to grind like crazy. Probably gonna grind off more than I put on, right? That's it, ground down. Looks good, looks solid. I did end up removing more than I put on there. Well, what can you do? It's solid. I'm going to go ahead and take a Dremel tool to that little inside corner there just to clean it up a little bit. Now it's time to go ahead and do some work on the fenders. The fenders themselves have old repairs on them, tons of old Bondo. You can see that here. The old Bondo was poorly applied. They had used a cheap Bondo. Some rust holes were coming through, some rust bubbles. So those rust bubbles ended up turning out to be little pinholes, maybe even bigger than that. I went ahead and cut those out, put in a new panel, welded it up, and that's where I'm at now. So where those rust bubbles were is also flat. There was an old fender bender right along here, nice little crease, several creases in here. I've been able to pound that out. With the fender off, I've been able to do it from the backside. And now I've been able to continue this line all along here with the new patch so that it looks, well, nice and uniform. We'll go ahead and do some work on that later, get a thin layer anyways of Bondo on there and go ahead and start sanding it out. Meantime, I've got to work on the backside support. I'll show you. Okay, I've already hit it with some rust reformer. I use the Rust-Oleum brand, but you can see here there's significant damage. The previous owner had done some removal on that support for the backside of the fender, and there should be a keyhole shape, kind of like, well, you can't see it here because the bolt's in place, that would hold the bolt that goes into the cab corner. One of these. Bought this guy on eBay. It looks like an exact replacement for the original, although it looks like the bolt shaft is a little bit longer for sure. I guess that's not going to be a problem. There's nothing for it to run into, but that is going to go, let's see, right about here. I had a mark in that sheet metal, and there will be this hole with a, well, kind of a keyhole shape that's I'm going to have to weld into the new piece that's going to go inside here. This is not an endorsement in any way. It just is a good paper to use for making a tamale. My Cinnamon Toast Crunch template, I think it's got to be shaped about like this, so that it does form up right up against this hole here, where the bolt is going to go through that's attached to the fender through here and then attaching the two together. So I think this has got to be my shape. Okay, so that's about right here. About the right shape. Looks like my hole should be, it's awfully dark, it's getting dark out. Right about there. I've made a kind of a circle or a mark for it right about where the hole is. Okay, and that should work here. ugly. Check it out, there it is. That's a good fit too, nice and tight. Yeah, perfect. Well, pretty good. Okay, could use a ground. Crazy. I don't think that's going to work. Okay, and the whole point of this repair, that's it. Mounting bolt fits. Yay! There we go. Okay, on to the Bondo. Okay, I've applied Bondo. Use some Bondo Gold Series. It's water resistant. And now it's time to block sand it out. I'm using some 80 grit sandpaper and, well, just a block of wood. That's as good as anything on a flat surface like this. But that's it. I'm going to go ahead and start knocking it down and seeing if I can get the shape back. Okay, I did really good on my first cut. Looks like I've got some low spots here and here. Maybe even one over there. That's where I had pulled out that line. I went ahead and pushed out a little dent here, a little bit here. And this really is relatively thin. It looks like I didn't have too much filler in there, not too bad. Okay, a little bit more Bondo, and then one more cut. And some filler primer while I still got some daylight. I'm putting the fender back on, but when I took the fender off, I snapped some bolts. Time to go ahead and use the welding method to try and get those back out of there. And the first thing I'm going to do is drill holes in the bolts. Here we go. Okay, I've put a nut right above the shaft, and I'm going to go ahead and weld it on. Okay, let's give it a whirl. I'm going to gently rock it back and forth. Oh, nice. Hoping to get it off of there. Actually got some good movement. Ah, fail. Trying to make it taller so that I can get a nut over it so then I can weld it on. Let's see what happens. Okay, maybe I can work with that. Okay. Cleaned it up. I could get it. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's try. I'm leery of the results. I see a little bit of movement, but the last time I saw that, it sheared right off again. Come on! Ah, failed again. First big snowstorm of the season is coming in, and there's more than one way to skin a bolt. I'm going to go ahead and take the fender off, and we're going to go ahead and hack at it. Problem solved. It's time to go ahead and cut out the old cab corners that are rusty and crusty. We'll go ahead and weld in a new one. Fabricate it so it fits good. Let's get right to it. Now here we are up underneath the truck. You can see the typical Swiss cheese look of the old cancer on the steel. This is nasty. I'm going to tape a line, a cut line right along here. It's about 4 inches up from the bottom edge, and looks like it needs to curve around here. This is about 2.5 inches from this edge to this edge. I'm going to cut this out and cut in a piece of steel that'll go. This looks pretty solid here, really solid. So really, I'd like to put in a piece from here to here on the inner back cab corners. Well, when I first got the truck, I didn't want to do anything about the holes in the cab corners, so I went ahead and put some of that foil insulation down there, stuffed it down into the holes so that I wouldn't get any dust coming up, I wouldn't get any sound coming up, and it worked pretty good, but I'm going to have to take that out of there now. Here's what the cab corners look like now. There it is, see? That's just eaten up. I don't know if you can see the foil down in there, but nope, can't quite see it. But it's up in here. Wait, what's this? What is that? This was up in the corner of the cab corner. Oh, you know what that is? That is Bondo. Oh my goodness. That is old, fossilized piece of turd Bondo. This must have been from a previous repair. What was it? Was filling space? Did they actually paint it? Did they actually? No, that's rust right there, but it was right up against the metal. Look at this fingerprint. You can see when they put it into the corner and they were stuffing it in there, you can see the fingerprint where they were pushing it down in there. Okay, there, you can see the area I'm going to go ahead and cut out. Let's get right to it. Upside down work is not my favorite, but I went ahead and cut a bunch of it out of there. You can see that nice clean line along that edge there. Little metal edge right there. Is that 18 gauge steel? Looks like it's pretty thick in this section, so I should be able to weld to that no problem. Now on this edge here, did I cut into the footwell on the other side? It looks like I might have. Well, look at what I did. Okay, mistake number one. That'll be the first of many. I can guarantee it, but oops on that one. Oh well, a couple little tack welds, that should be fine, right? Oh man. Okay, now you're looking at the outer back cab corner. I don't think I'm going to have to take the bed off. I might be able to weld right here. I'm certainly going to be able to cut right here. Going back into this corner here, this guy's kind of in the way, but if I'm cutting it at an angle here, because all of that looks pretty good, I don't think that's going to be a problem. Okay, so I've taped this guy on here, and you know, that's going to be my cut line, and that's about the same as it was over on the other side. I can show the progress I've done so far. Here, check this out. There's the cab corner. You can see I've got some parts chopped into that. Can I get underneath here? There we go. And of course there's the new patch in there. And then underneath here, I've got this guy welded in. Didn't turn out too bad, but now I've got to get this patch over here done and maybe a plate underneath here. So that'll be what I'm working on today. I'll go ahead and get this plate made up, and then I'll need to form in an underneath piece to be more horizontal that would go underneath it here, and then weld all that in. Now, I'm not terribly happy with the way this worked out. Booger welds and I don't know, some questionable patching, but it's solid. Okay, so I've dry fitted in some pieces here. This guy here is in there, it's, you know, it's loose. And this one's going underneath. Now that's going to be kind of like what, I guess you could call that a sill plate. But then I've run into some problems. I've got this hole here. Can you see it? Rust holes. And then up underneath there. So, you know, of course you run into problems. You find things and you fix them. So I'm going to have to form up some sort of metal plate for this and cut that out of there and put a plate over the top of that and maybe cut that one out of there. And then I'll be ready to weld. I'm getting much closer. Sealing this thing up and calling it good and going over there to the other side. Okay, well here's what I got so far. Yeah, look at that. Yep, blew a hole in right there. In there. In there. And I blew another hole in it here. Too hot, too rusty of a metal, whatever. But this was the patch I was going to put in here next, and I was going to be done. But it looks like I've got to put maybe an L-shaped piece in here. And then maybe I'll be done if I don't blow any more holes in the old metal here. I just use a piece of, I don't know, kind of hard paper. Sometimes even a cereal box paper can work. And you trace out the opening that you need. And then you cut that piece of metal out that's the same shape as this guy. You know, you just trace it out, and then you've got your piece of metal. Then all you have to do is shape it. Same thing with this one here. Let's see, that's the original shape on this one. See there? And I just cut that out, and that ended up being one of my pieces. Like that. And like that. And that's how you cover mistakes. Okay, on with the welding. Okay, well, going back on old mistakes, now that I'm starting to grind, I went ahead and ground down that old mistake where I had cut right through the fender well. So that's all better now. I'll have to just put a little coat of paint on that. Okay, here it is, all finished off. I've got my seam sealer on it, inside and out, and I'm ready to go ahead and put some paint on there. So this turned out pretty good. Take a look around. It's solid. It's ugly, but hey, it's underneath the vehicle, right? This is the underside. What I wanted was solid, sturdy, and rebuilt with fresh metal. And that's what I got. So here we go. Okay, there it is, freshly painted. Painted it up with some rust reformer paint. And it's solid. It's there. My cab corner is done. Here, check out the outside. Okay, and here's that outside edge. Let's get in front of my light here because I'm jumping underneath. Nice and smooth. All fresh metal. Looking pretty darn good. Okay, that's it. Cab corner's done. Ended up being solid. Ended up doing a good job on it. Now that allows me to move on to the other projects that I had. I'm going to be working on the paint. I'm going to be working on, well, Bondo and bodywork first because I got little imperfections here and there, and I'll be able to continue on with Engine Joe. Oh, I wanted you to see, check this out. There is my collection of artifacts. I've got that, well, there's that, I don't know, Engine Joe hairball that came out of the passenger side cab corner and the outside cab corner here. Look at that thing. There's a before, huh? And then this was the inside cab corner. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that subscribe button and then smash that little bell right there too. That'll give you notifications when I've got new videos that come out. That's it for now with Engine Joe. I'll go ahead and work on the next video and the next project. Thank you for watching.